In the beginning there was God. And he created the earth and the heavens. He created everything on the earth, including the humans that walked it. He was with his people, through all their trials and tribulations, through floods and famines, through joy and suffering. He sent his one and only Son to save us all. And then in 2020, this happened.
What game should we play?
I think we should play the musical of the statues.
Ooh, musical statues. Are you in? Up, up, up. Up, 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 up. I'll do.
Okay, so we dance, and then the music stops.
And we don't dance.
And we don't dance, we stop.
Please.
And whoever is the stillest is the winnerist.
Beautiful English.
Thank you, thank you. So, could we have some music, please?
Much game. I'm just getting into my dancing and then I can't stop because I'm still going and then I'm like, oh, it stopped. I think it's because I dance to the music in my head, irrelevant of what's going on the outside.
Right. Let's have one more go. One more go. You have to dance, you can't just stand still. Did you do better than us?
The bar is not high.
No, it's not high. Not high. Okay.
Hello ECC Kids, my name's Gideon. Get ready to hear all about me. Thanks, Ruth.
Okay, so we have been doing all about the judges, and this week we're going to be doing about a guy called Gideon. Now his story and his history is from about chapter 6 for a few chapters, and I wanted to pick out a few bits. You might have heard some of the stories from Gideon's big story before in Sunday school, but we're going to pick out a few of the little bits. Okay, so we're going to start in chapter 6. So the bad guys in this story are called the Midianites, and they keep coming, and just like before, remember, the Israelites mess up, they're not doing what God told them to do, so God stops looking after them, bad things happen to them, they realise they've done something wrong, they say sorry, God sends a judge to come and rescue them, and then they get rescued, and then they have a period of peace before they mess it all up again and do it all over again. Okay, so this has happened a few times now. And the same thing happens again. You know, when we did the 10 Commandments, God had told them, no God before me, no false idols. You worship me, you don't worship someone else. But the Israelite people had started to worship false gods, particularly one called Baal. And they were worshipping him rather than God. And because of that, God was like, that's not okay. I told you that was the rule. I'm no longer looking after you. So rather than being protected, now the Midianites came in and they kept coming in and setting up camp just where the crops were. So they were being nasty to the Israelites, and this meant that the Israelites, A, had no food, or very little food, B, were getting hurt and beat up, and it was just in generally bad. And this had gone on for quite a while. And they'd lost all their crops, they were really starting to struggle, and so they said to God, God, we've messed up, we're really sorry, please help us. And so God comes up with a plan, as he always does, to rescue them. And he decided to raise up a guy called Gideon to save them. Now, that's the main story. But when we actually go to Gideon, he was a guy who was from a poor family, from a fairly poor tribe, and he worked as, I suppose, like a farmer. And he used to get the wheat and bring it in, and they used to do something called threshing. Okay, and so that's taking the edible bit off the stalk. Okay, so that he was doing that, but the Midianites kept coming in and taking the food and destroying the food. So he was scared. He didn't know what to do. He didn't want them to take this food. He didn't know what to do. So did he fight? No, he hid. So he went up into what they called a wine press, and he took the wheat and he hid in there doing this threshing. And an angel sent by God appeared to him. And it's one of my favourite verses. It's verse 12. And this angel from God says, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he says, "Hi, Gideon." And then he calls him a mighty warrior, or a mighty man of valour. And then just 2 sentences later, in verse 14, he calls him a brave man. Now this is Gideon. Gideon is hiding in a wine press. Does that sound brave to you? Nope. He's literally scouring away and hiding because he doesn't know what to do. And yet God sent this messenger to call him a brave, mighty warrior. Why? Because God saw that Gideon was going to become this mighty man, this mighty warrior. Because with Christ on our side, with God on our side, we can do all things. That's what it says in the Bible. We can do all things through Christ who gives us strength. And so he sees you for what you can be with him. He sees your strengths even when you are stood in your weakness. So don't be held back by what you think you can do and by what you think a situation is going to impact on your life. See yourself through God's eyes. When the angel came, he said to Gideon, "You're a mighty man of God, and you, Gideon, hiding in the winepress, are going to save my people." Of all the people to choose, soldier from down the road, no, one of the big guys from around the corner, no, Gideon, hiding in the winepress. You know, God chose him. God called him to do something amazing. What has God called you to do? Have you asked God? Spend some time praying with God, listening to God, asking him what he wants you to do. What are you called to do? Who are you called to speak to? And then be brave even when you don't feel it. So Gideon finally accepts that God has called him. And he gets ready to go and work with God on this new plan. Now, there's a few other bits with a fleece that gets wet and doesn't get wet. You should read through that story. But one of the things that jumped out to me was that his family, just like all the other Israelite families, had got these big statues up of Baal, this false god. And the first job that Gideon had was not to face the Midianites, was not to go and practice his sword fighting. I apparently can't sword fight because you don't use 2 hands. But it wasn't anything like that. His first job was to take down those statues. Why? Because once you start off on your journey with God, it's important that you put God first. that he is the priority. And sometimes that means realizing who you are in God, that you are a mighty boy or a mighty girl in God. Sometimes that means taking some of the stuff that we've let creep into our lives and taking it away. Things that you've allowed to take the place of God. Things that you maybe do rather than praying. Things that you do or listen to or watch rather than spending that time with God. And those things are not necessarily bad in their own right. Maybe it's playing football or watching your favourite programme on TV. Maybe it's even schoolwork. Those things are good, there's nothing wrong with those, but when we put them before God, that becomes dangerous for our relationship with God. He needs to be our number one. So sometimes, just like Gideon did, we need to take down those things that have taken God's number one place. Take them out of our lives and put God as number one first. So find your calling, see yourself as God sees you, and then take down those things that are stopping God from being number one. So Gideon has finally accepted that God has a plan for him, that he's going to save the Israelite people with God on his side. And so he heads off, having got rid of all the statues of Baal from his house. And taking down this and some of the other bits in the story mean that all the Israelite people are like, yes, we're on your side. And a big group of guys form an army, literally thousands of people. And they head on down together with Gideon, and they're like, yes, God, we're going to fight the Midianites because you said we can win. And God says, whoa, no. I said I was going to win. And they were like, oh, well, what? This huge army, if they won, who would have said won? Those guys, not God. So God said, right, I want you to say to all your army, if you're scared, off you go home. Okay? And he asked them, and 22,000, that's a lot of people. A lot of people. They went home because they were scared, which is understandable. They were going to battle. So that means that there was not many left. It was only about a third of the men left. What were they going to do? Was that going to be enough? Maybe if they were skilled fighters, they were the brave ones after all. They weren't scared. But no, God says no, that's still too many men. I can do it with less than that. So he took them to this river and said, right, have a drink of water. And they had a drink. Now, some of them, I find this story really bizarre, because if you were going to drink water, why would you not cup it up and drink it? I find that really weird. But if they cupped it up and drank it like this, they got to stay in Gideon's army. If they got down and literally put their faces in and drank it like that, then they didn't, and they got sent home. And apparently huge numbers drink really weirdly out of water. So it meant that Gideon, from those thousands of men, were left with just 300. 300 men, and God said, yes, 300 men, that'll do. And so he got ready for this battle. And with Gideon, he led the people in, and because God was on their side, let's be honest, it was not really anything to do with that men. In fact, they didn't even take their weapons properly. They had, in this hand, what do you think? A sword? An axe? Some kind of crossbow? No, they had a trumpet. A trumpet. And in the other hand, they've got their fire so that they can see what's going off. And some of them had clay jars. And they went to the bad guys' place, and they got their clay jars, and they smashed them. And they got their trumpets, and they played them. Woo! And they shouted really loud, woo! And the bad guys freaked out. God caused them to get confused and all hysterical and really, really scared. And they ended up almost killing each other, and they're running off, and they just won because God was on their side. And why is that important? Because whatever battle you are facing, It's not your battle. It's God's battle. God is the one who fights the battle. You are there, you are fighting, and yes, that's really hard when you're in the middle of that battle. Those 300 soldiers still had to be there, still had to be in that battle. But because God was on their side, because he was with them, they were able to win and have victory. And in your situation, in your hard times, I want you to remember that God is on your side and that God has a plan and a purpose. And if God says you can do something, no matter how unlikely or how improbable or how many people tell you that that is not going to work or not going to happen, no matter whether you are speaking to your friends at school and you're saying, how am I going to do this? It's only me and one other Christian. God beat an entire Midianite army with just 300 men. So imagine what he could do in your school with just 2 of you. God can do something amazing. So just like Gideon, see yourself as God sees you. Get rid of those things that are standing in the way, those barriers, those idols. And then fight with God with all you've got, knowing that with God you can do all things and that the battle is his job to win. All you have to do is be willing to serve.
So, this week we are breaking from tradition, and instead of having a debate, we are going to have 2 quizzes.
Quizzes!
Round number 1 will be random knowledge. There will be 3 questions in it. Whoever gets the best out of 3 wins that round and gets the point. We will then have a round on Bible-based questions. Again, there will be 3 points. Whoever gets the best score wins the point. And then we will go on to our final challenge. Makes sense? See if you can answer the questions at home. Okay, could we have question numero 1, please?
Which one of these is not a type of penguin? Emperor, royal, king, and jack. Ruth is correct.
Yay!
The answer was jack.
Yeah!
Okay, question numero 2.
What is the Gruffalo scared of?
Oh, I've never read the Gruffalo.
I've never read the Gruffalo.
What is the Gruffalo scared of?
Incorrect. Mouse.
What did you put?
Bedtime.
I put dark.
It was
A
mouse.
mouse. I mean, no, mice aren't scary.
Oh. Question numero 3.
How many sides does an octagon have? Correct.
Woohoo!
So the score at the end of round 1 is 2-1 to Ruth, so Ruth wins the random knowledge round.
Woohoo! I'm random.
Could we have question numero 1 of
The Bible
round?
quiz.
Who found baby Moses in the river?
That's probably not how you spell that word.
No.
Correct.
Who?
Oh, Pharaoh's daughter could be
Darn it, I was putting Pharaoh's daughter and then changed it to wife.
His wife, good old little missus. Is that how you... I don't know if that was how you spell Sarah.
No, I don't know if I spelled it right either. Could we have the next question, please?
What did King Solomon ask God to give him?
question.
What kind of work did Zacharias do? Correct.
Yay!
That means that you've won both the first quiz rounds. That means that Ruth is this week's overall winner. There's no way I can bring it back.
Yay!
We'll see you in a minute.
Following Jesus is my great adventure. Following Jesus means I'll put him first. He is the light guiding me through the darkness. Following Jesus, the hope of the world. Following Jesus is my great adventure. Following Jesus means I'll put him first. He is the light guiding me through the darkness. Following Jesus, the hope of the world. He's my hero. He's the greatest of all. He's my hero. It's why I sing. He's my hero. He's the greatest of all. He's my hero. It's why I sing, why I sing. Following Jesus is my great adventure. Following Jesus means I put him first. He is the light guiding me through the darkness. Following Jesus, the hope of the Jesus, Jesus, you're all I need, you're all I need. Jesus, I will follow you. I will follow you, Jesus. I will follow you. I will follow you, Jesus. Following Jesus is my great adventure. Following Jesus means I'll put him first. He is the light guiding me through the darkness. Following Jesus, the hope of the world. Following Jesus, the hope of the world. I'll follow you, Jesus, the hope of the world.
So, we don't need a third challenge because I've got all the brains in the noggin. She looks a little bit angry. So we're going to pray and close in prayer. Lord, I thank you that you have been with us this week and that you've helped us have hopefully lots of fun at Kids Church. I thank you that, like Gideon, you always go with us and that you are an amazing God. We pray that you will help us to be brave and courageous warriors as we go to schools and spend time with our families. Help us to tell them about you. I pray, Lord, that anything that is in the way of our relationship with you will be taken down so that you are our number one. We give you our week, we give you everything in it, and pray that you'll continue to be with us. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Hopefully, at some point this week, I will be emailing people's parents some, what's the word? Scripts ready for the Christmas play so that you'll have time to record those and get those sent in. We also sent out the dance. So if you could get recording those and get your parents to send those in, that would be great because it'll be December before you know it. Some people have got Christmas decks up already.
Shocking.
It's insane.
Shocking it is.
Insane. Okay, now it is my duty, shall we say.
No, it's not your duty. You take pure joy in this.
There's no joy, there's just duty. In punishing you for not knowing things. Okay, are you ready? This, you might have noticed, it's got a slight tint of blue, mainly because the cream smelled really bad. So we've got shaving foam.
Still not going to be pleasant.
Still not going to be great, no. And may sting her eyes, but all for the joy of Kids Church. Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's stuck. Oh, it's stuck.